this Pontiac Pacesetters 200 underway.
For the most dramatic moment in all professional sports, here's John Hawley Sr. to start this Pontiac Pacesetter 200. Gentlemen, start your engines.
This is race number 11 in the Busch Grand National Series for 1991. The race last week was a wild affair in South Boston, Virginia. Let's take a look back in this Haviland Racing Update.
A new race surface and an extra 100 laps added up to all-time Grand National records of 20 cautions and 103 laps run under the yellow. Most of the incidents in the hit parade were fairly minor, but one involved early race leader Chuck Bound, who tangled with the lapped car of number 6, Tommy Houston. A bit later, Houston and number 79, Dave Resendiz, came together, and Bound, along with 27, Elton Sawyer, and Jack Ingram, were swept into the day's biggest wreck. Series points leader Kenny Wallace also had a long afternoon. No part of the Speedway was immune to spinning cars and battered fenders. Wending his way virtually unmarked through the minefields was hometown favorite Jeff Burton, who inched off in the final laps for his second career Grand National victory. Joe Nemechek, Ed Barrier, and Bobby Dotter posted series best finishes. Pole sitter Steve Grissom was fifth. Bobby Labonte is atop the standings entering today's race, with Wallace down to second. Nemechek, Jimmy Hensley, and Todd Bodine are the next three.
Drivers now set to do battle in 200 laps here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania on a beautiful afternoon for racing. Let's take a look at the starting grid for today's Pontiac Pacesetter 200. Jimmy Hensley, his third pole of the season, flanked by the defending series champion Chuck Bound. On the second row, it's Dave Resendiz from Sonnet, Massachusetts, and Robert Presley, the pole winner at Lanier a few weeks ago. Row number 3 is Jeff Burton, the winner at South Boston, and Kenny Wallace, who is now trying to battle his way back into the Busch lead. Your fourth row, Winston Cup driver Kenny Schrader making a rare visit, and Joe Bessie second in the Grand National North standings. In row number 5, Jeff Gordon, the leader of the rookie standings, and Steve Grissom, a strong runner here at Nazareth.
In row number 6 on the inside, Morgan Shepherd. Beside him, the current Grand National Series point leader, Bobby Labonte. In row 7, another one of the Burton brothers, Ward, Jeff's older brother on the inside. Davey Allison, taking a vacation from the Winston Cup Series, starts beside him in the 14th spot. In row number 8 on the inside, David Green, a winner 2 weeks ago, and coming off one of his best runs ever, Ed Barrier, will start 16th. Inside of row number 9, Pennsylvania native Tom Peck. Beside him, Tony Hirschman. And in row number 10, on the inside, the veteran from Hickory, North Carolina, Tommy Houston, and one of the North Series top young talents, Ricky Craven.
Second-year driver Joe Nemechek will start in the inside of row 11, flanked by Elton Sawyer from Chesapeake, Virginia. In row number 12, it's Mike Wallace in his third Grand National race this year, and Frank Bumgardner from North Carolina. Then it's Richie Burgess, the Dover Plains, New York driver, and Todd Bodine, fifth in the series points. Row number 14, Donnie Ling Jr., a North driver, along with the three-time North champion Jamie Obey. Then Jeff Green, a rookie, is in row 15, along with Butch Miller, the winner at Hickory. Row number 16 is Ed Ferree, a rookie from Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, and Troy Beebe from Modesto, California. Row 17, Bobby Dotter, coming off that good finish in South Boston, and North driver Jeff Barry. Row number 18, it's Tracy Leslie and Larry Brolsma, a North driver, and Ken Bouchard, the 1989 Grand National or Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, is starting provisional. We've got one lap before we go to green. Let's reestablish this Pennsylvania International Raceway for you. A 1-mile layout, 5 turns. The degree banking through turns 3 and 4. As you see, turns 3, 4 degrees. The straights are 2.7 degrees in the banking. There's an elevation change of 34 feet. The back straightaway is 1,200 feet. That's where we expect to see a good deal of our passing in this event. And we saw in the modified show Derek Cope, who's joined us here in the booth for this afternoon's broadcast, that there is trouble lurking all around this racetrack.
There sure is. I'll tell you, down in turn 4 seemed to be a trouble spot. They got slick down there as the race progressed, and it's pretty warm out there right now, and there might still be a little remaining slickness down there right now, so they're gonna have to watch it down there in turn 4.
Jimmy Hensley is the defending race winner here. He's got one victory already this season, picked up at Martinsville, Virginia, a team that needed the victory at that time to attract sponsorship, that used that money to get Golden Gallon for a few races. Then he's back here now. He will lead the cars to the green flag as the pace car is diving off the field. They form 2 by 2. 29 Busch Grand National drivers, 8 Busch Grand National North drivers set to do battle here. 200 laps, the Pontiac Pacesetter 200 from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Flagman Mike Harwood is holding the field back. And the green flag is up. We're underway here. As the field come by to complete the first lap, it's Jimmy Hensley, your pole sitter, in front, followed by Chuck Bound, Robert Presley, Dave Rezendes, Kenny Wallace, and Jeff Burton. Then it's Kenny Schrader and Joe Bessie, the North driver. Hensley from Ridgeway, Virginia. Virginia gentleman who took the lead late in this race last year, one of the more competitive affairs in the Grand National Tour in 1990.
Most of the cars single files. They work now across the start-finish line for the second lap. Chuck Bound, heavy pressure from Robert Presley as they work out of turn 1 and head up now down to the short chute leading to turns 2 and 3. Yellow flag is out for the first time. There's a problem with the Frank Baumgartner car. The JFG Coffee Pontiac is off the pace. A lot of smoke from that race car. We're under our first caution flag of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200.
And hopefully we will not see anything like a repeat of last week at South Boston, where the yellow waved 20 times. Mike Harwood, the Busch Grand National flagman, has a blister on his right hand from that race. He said it was until Tuesday before his arm felt well enough to flag this weekend. We'll be back with more action. We're just underway here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania with Busch Grand National action.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
Tough beards can't stand up to twin edges. Neither can the rain. Rally Twin Edge Wipers. Twice the rain-clearing power in every stroke. It's the power of twin edges in a single blade. The first cleans, the second cleans up. For wiper performance beyond compare. With blades warranted for a lifetime. Fit virtually all of today's cars and trucks. A sleek new profile everybody loves. Rally Twin Edge Wipers.
This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
Well, the Busch Grand National cars barely were able to get up to speed before our first caution for Frankie Baumgartner's problem. Here's the way they shook out with just 2 laps when that caution came out. We've been under caution for a lap now. Jimmy Hensley, the leader from the pole, of course, followed by Chuck Bound, Robert Presley, Dave Rezendes, and Kenny Wallace. Then in the 6th position, Jeff Burton, Winston Cup visitor Ken Schrader, Steve Grissom, Joe Bessie, and rookie Jeff Gordon. Now let's check down trackside to see what the problems with Frankie Baumgartner's car were. Ralph Shaheen is there.
Mark, I think you're trying to get to Bill Hennessy. He's at the other end of the pit lane.
Okay, let's check.
Bill on the other end of the pit lane. We're down here with Lamar Walker, who is standing in as crew chief for Billy Standridge on the JFG entry. What's wrong with the car?
Something's happened inside the engine. I think it broke a rod.
Think you're out for the day, or you got your fingers crossed?
Well, I got my fingers crossed, but I think it's over for today. We'll come back and get them next time.
Well, he'd hoped it was just going to be maybe a broken oil line. They're going to go check on it.
He had a very tough start to this race. They had to push him down pit road to get him going as the cars came on the track for their pace laps. And then, of course, just a couple of laps into this race. So Frank Baumgartner looking for a long afternoon. It's a very short one in return.
That's always a little unnerving, sitting on pit road and the car won't fire even before qualifying, but let alone for the race.
Kind of get the idea. This might not be a good day.
Things might not go well.
And of course, because no cars have been lapped to this point, the field will form as we're less than one lap away from going back to racing. The field will form in single file order, which is really the best possible situation here. Derek, you rode around this track earlier. Very quickly, tell us what it's like from a driver's perspective with the way this track is laid out, more like a road course than an oval.
Well, that's true. You have a lot of blind areas in the racetrack. You know, much to what Marco alluded earlier, you just can't see where you're going. And if you have a really tight race car, lots of times, you know, the car wants to wash out and put you out of position, much as what Chuck Bowen's saying right now. He looks a little tight to me, but it could come back for him a little bit later in the race.
They're now moving through turns 4 and 5, which is a real difficult portion of this racetrack. That's where most of the modified mayhem occurred less than a half hour ago. A race won by Jan Leedy. We're heading toward lap number 7 of the 200. That'll make up stop number 11 on the Grand National Series as Jimmy Hensley leads the field back to green. Chuck Bowen is second, followed by Robert Presley, Dave Rezendes, Kenny Wallace, Jeff Burton, Ken Schrader. Those are your top running cars, single file heading down the back straights. The field sorts itself out nicely here. You've heard Derek Cope's comments about what this track is like. We talked to a number of the Grand National drivers before this race and asked them for impressions of the Pennsylvania International Raceway.
Well, Nazareth is laid out different than any other racetrack. It has about 5 turns in it, and it's pretty tough on the car. It's tough on equipment.
At times you're running uphill and you're running downhill and you got 3 turns in it, and you more or less, I think, drive it kind of like a road course.
It's actually what they call a 5-cornered racetrack, and it truly is. It's like an oval at the two ends of the racetrack, but the front straightaway has a sharp, what we call dog leg.
And it's a real fast track. It's kind of like a road course with all left-hand turns. I heard somebody else say that, and I believe it too, because I've seen a lot of guys go through the corner just kind of flat-footed but sideways at the same time, and the only thing you don't do is turn right. It's got a variation of a speedway, a short track, and a road course all in one.
Best battle on the track right now is per second, where Chuck Bowen apparently is holding up Robert Presley. Derek, your impressions of how Bowen's car is handling?
Well, again, like I said before, his car looks a little bit tight, especially through this little tri-oval here. He has a tendency to push out a little bit, and Presley gets a good run at him going there. Tries to peek in the inside, but really can't do anything there.
Looks like with all the cars backed up behind them, that if Presley can somehow work Bowen up the racetrack, not only may he slip to 3rd, he may take a trip back to 10th or 11th. A lot of cars running nose to tail there, and if you get out of that good inside groove and get to the outside, they'll make you pay very dearly for that mistake.
Yeah, if they get you out of line there, it'll be a little freight train, and you'll start motion going backwards.
And you see the separation between the front 10 cars and the rest of the field is already considerable. This is a track where experience is an important factor. The 4th year that the Grand National cars have come to Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Jimmy Hensley, the defending race champion. Chuck Bowen, this was his best super speedway finish of 1990, a 3rd place. That's Dave Rezendes, who led a good part of that event. The car number 79. This was one of his best races in all of last year. He finished 2nd in a great late race battle with Bowen before gaining the position for good.
that with Bound, and then trying to hold off Jimmy Hensley at the end. They went door to door, scraped a lot of paint, bent a lot of sheet metal, and Jimmy Hensley came out on top of that. Right now, he's locked horns with one of the young upstarts on this series, the sophomore driver, Kenny Wallace, in the Cox-treated lumber Pontiac. Behind them, the man, the winner last week in South Boston, Virginia, Jeff Burton. Also right there, the Winston Cup veteran Ken Schrader and Steve Grissom. Those cars locked in a life and death struggle now for 4th place.
And that 31 car that you see at the bottom of your screen, blue, Steve Grissom, you say, well, his colors are normally cream. What's the story here? Well, the deal that he has with Roddenberry is for 15 races. This is a 3-race deal with Channel Lock Tools that's on the card now. They're hoping it might work out to something bigger and better in the future.
Also joining that freight train in the back is the 19-year-old driver from Pittsboro, Indiana. Jeff Gordon is right behind Steve Grissom. You see him coming into the picture there. So those cars, 7 cars battling for the 4th spot. Now Kenny Wallace works Resendiz up the racetrack. He'll have a hard time getting tucked back in the line.
Yes, that Jeff Burton's right underneath. Now Kenny Schrader thinks about 3 abreast, thinks better of it, pulls back in line.
Major disaster almost there in turn 2.
After a tense moment, the field gets itself back under control on that portion of the track, and we'll be back with more action from South Boston, or rather from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, as caution is on the Speedway. We'll come back to tell you what it's for in just a moment.
When Acura asked if we would design a new tire for the extraordinary NSX, we responded very quickly. Yokohama, where Acura turned for ultra-high performance.
The most important thing we have to Selleck Roads is trust. Having been your hometown store for more than 75 years means that we know you. We know what you want. We know that you expect quality products at the absolutely lowest price. And we know that you have a right to be treated with dignity and respect. Come in and try us. Your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. It is what you expect, and it's what we shall deliver. That's our promise.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
You know, Rust-Oleum Wood Saver trim paint is so moisture resistant, you paint your trim less often and have time for other things. Like playing ball with the kids. Paint less often. Use Rust-Oleum Wood Saver.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch Crunches.
Our second caution of the day here in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 was for Jamie Obey, whose blown engine dropped fluid on the Speedway. He's the second car to retire, but on pit road is Bill Hennessy with the first driver out of today's race, Frank Bumgarner.
Frankie, your problems actually started on the pit lane, did they not?
Yes, actually they did. The battery was a little bit dead when we went out on the track. But once we got the thing fired up, it ran well. The JFG Pontiac was very pleased with the efforts that we had for qualifying. And it seems what happened was a rod bolt. We lost the rod bolt, and therefore it's hanging out the side of the motor right now.
That's his problem. Now we got John Farrow, the car owner on the 33 car at Barrier. John, y'all got some problems on the 33 car. Been dropping back throughout the early part of the race here.
We had trouble with, I believe it's the master cylinder, hanging up the rod to the master cylinder, but I believe it's all right now. Something just went haywire with it, but he's saying it's all right now.
Gave up a lot of positions, though, didn't he?
I didn't.
I said he gave up a lot of positions, though.
Yeah. He'll come back up. We're going to the front. We'll be back.
That's the word on the Ed Barrier car.
We'll be going back to green flag action here in just a moment from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. We've got 18 laps complete of the 200 that make up this event. Stay with us. We're in the early stages of Grand National action in eastern Pennsylvania.
Left in front.
and Carl Perkins. And Foster and Lloyd perform This Country's Rockin'. Wednesday, 8 Eastern on TNN.
Gardeners, if you love fresh-tasting vegetables and big, beautiful flowers, but think results like this take too much time and too much back-breaking work, here's great news. Introducing the affordable Troy-Bilt Junior, designed especially for smaller gardens. Just look at the time and work the Junior will save you. It's so easy to prepare perfect, ready-to-plant seed beds. Plus, working organic matter into your soil is a snap. Spot till areas for beautiful flower gardens and borders. Why, you can even use the Junior to reseed your lawn or ring fruit trees. You'll be amazed at how much time and work the Junior will save you. So if you want to learn more about getting results like this, the fast, easy Troy-Bilt way, call now to receive your free Troy-Bilt catalog.
For your free catalog featuring the Junior and our whole line of Troy-Bilt tillers, including our no money down easy payment plan, call toll-free 1-800-828-6363. Operators are standing by. That's 1-800-828-6363. Call now.
Back under green, 20 laps complete here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Jimmy Hensley, your pole sitter, continues to lead with Chuck Bound second. Robert Presley presenting a strong challenge in third.
Now.
Kenny Wallace sits back in the fourth spot, and Jeff Burton rounds out the top five.
Derek, you're making a comment about Chuck Bound. We got word from his pits, not a push, a little bit loose. He may be trying to compensate for it. That's why we get a look at him pushing up the track.
You get a look at it right there. As he went through the trial that time, the rear of the car came out from underneath him, and Presley made a move to the inside. So it's starting to get real loose on him right now.
There's a good bit of rubber down in. In fact, some fluid from the modified race, which took a little bit over 2 hours to run here today. And the drivers are still groove searching as Jimmy Hensley has had pretty much his own way up front. No serious challenge yet from Chuck Bound, while Bound has had a heck of a battle holding Robert Presley back in the third position. This is the shot from our backstretch camera coming out of turn number 3. This is a 5-turn speedway. That's the way we'll call it for folks who are not familiar with this Pennsylvania International Raceway.
Looks like Chuck Bound has turned up the screws a little bit on Jimmy Hensley's, closed in on the back of that Oldsmobile as they work now through turns 2 and 3. Bound right there, but on Bound's back bumper, Robert Presley, and there's Kenny Wallace trying to charge up to the front. Those 4 cars, a little bit of a breakaway from the rest of the pack.
Kenny Wallace, who was a Grand National points leader for a good part of this season, picked up his first career victory at Volusia County Speedway, but ever since then he has just had a dreadful time and lost the points lead last weekend in South Boston to Bobby Labonte.
It's been so bad for Kenny Wallace. When I saw him in Talladega before the South Boston race, talking with crew chief Steve Bird, I said, do you hope for a turnaround this weekend? He said, if I don't have a good run at South Boston, I'll commit suicide. Well, I'm glad that he didn't do that because he had an awful tough run.
And Chuck Bound takes the lead from Jimmy Hensley, who drifts high. Coming underneath, no, he'll think better of it, is Robert Presley. Chuck Bound, the new leader here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. And Presley takes over the second spot. Kenny Wallace is coming with him.
About the best Jimmy Hensley can do is tuck back in just ahead of Jeff Burton as he squeezed back in the line in the 4th position. For Chuck Bound, just the second race all year that he's led a lap in that Pontiac as he starts to pull away now just a bit from the second place car of Robert Presley. Pretty good battle getting ready to start for the second position as Kenny Wallace closes in on Robert Presley as they scoot across the start-finish line to complete the 26th lap. Now Hensley feeling some pressure from our winner a week ago in South Boston, Virginia, Jeff Burton, in that Armour Chevrolet.
We're going to keep an eye on that because Hensley went from 1st to 4th in a big hurry, and now he's getting the pressure of Burton. And we'll see if there are any difficulties that we can discern on that machine because he is clearly falling back. Chuck Bound is trying to check out on the field in the early going. Look at the margin that he has built up. That's 7 car lengths on the second place machine. Now Burton is going to make his move easily underneath, and he takes over the 4th spot.
Jimmy Hensley is now in 5th. As they work out of turn 3, you see another blue car joining behind Hensley, the light blue car, that's Steve Grissom. Grissom is going to try to file Jimmy Hensley back another spot as they work down to turn 4.
And our crack pit reporters, Bill Hennessy and Ralph Shaheen, have reported that this is not a problem on Jimmy Hensley's car. They have decided to fall back as a matter of strategy to conserve their car. There is Kenny Schrader moving underneath Dave Resendiz, who started third but has been moving back through the field, and along with him comes Jeff Gordon.
Nice move by that young driver. Ken Schrader opened the door. He now locks door handles with the Dave Resendiz machine. They make some slight contact. Resendiz still worked up to the high side of the racetrack, trying to fight off Jeff Gordon in that Carolina Ford Thunderbird. They're still locked side by side, as it looks like the Gordon car got a little bit out of shape, forced Resendiz up the racetrack. Jeff Gordon's got the spot at the start-finish line.
And Derek, we were talking about where you don't want to be on the track. It sure looked like Resendiz was in that spot.
Well, he was going in turn 4 there. You know, he's on the outside. Jeff Gordon had him underneath, and then it looked like Resendiz tried to pinch him down a little bit, and he got down low in the grass, but he let the car push up and got a little ground back on him.
Now, the car number 28 in the center of that pack is Davey Allison, who was the pole sitter last year. He'd set a record pole speed. That was broken by 8 other drivers here. Allison said, we're going to get this track figured out. We'll get it back up to the front before the end of the day. Right at the moment, Allison is mired back in the pack a bit.
He's trying to get around Ward Burton and the Joe Bessie car that had the little altercation here yesterday. Allison driving a Chevrolet here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. His car on the Grand National Series. You see him working now out of turn 3. Looks pretty good. It looks like he's biding his time just a little bit back there, still very early on in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200.
And that car number 8, which is right behind him, is David Green, one of about 8 Grand National drivers who went to Bob Bondurant's driving school out in Phoenix. In preparation really for the Watkins Glen race, which has been added to the Grand National schedule for 1991. And I talked with Green and a number of the drivers who went through that school and said, all right, this track is renowned to be something like a road course. Is there anything that you learned there that will benefit you here? And a number of drivers said yes, the apexes of the turns here, the point at which they want to get back on the throttle. They've learned a lot at that school about how to drive this track, and Dave Green's having a good run so far.
Chuck Bound has just gone around the Morgan Shepherd car. That's the Texas Pete Ford. Shepherd had an unscheduled pit stop, and let's go down pit side to Bill Hennessy.
Here we go with Dick Schlitz. Dick, what's wrong with Morgan Shepherd?
Well, he just blowed a motor.
He just blowed up. It's all over for Morgan Shepherd on the Texas Pete Ford Thunderbird.
Morgan Shepherd driving one of the 2 Fords in today's field. The other is under the right foot of rookie Jeff Gordon. Chuck Bound, meanwhile, has moved out to a good enough advantage where he doesn't have to worry about anybody chasing him down. The second place battle right now is between Robert Presley and Kenny Wallace. Somebody asked Wallace before the race, who do you like today? He said, hey, me. I think I can win this thing. And he is one of the eternal optimists, young and enthusiastic, and he's trying to make his move on Robert Presley. He thinks better of it for the moment.
He certainly is a very optimistic guy. He's had a very tough run over the past 5 races, as we've talked about. But the only way, Derek, to get out of that slump is keep going to the plate, keep swinging for the fence. And Kenny Wallace is always out there charging, swinging for the fence.
Well, that's the key, just staying focused and believing in yourself and your team. And he's going to come back to you, and that's what he's doing right here. He's charging to the front.
This is the battle for second. Presley in number 59, Wallace in number 36. Looks a lot like Darlington as they drift up the track through turn 4. Wallace has got the preferred position, and he will take over second. That is Jeff Burton right on the rear deck lid of Robert Presley.
One of the most consistent cars all year long has been Jeff Burton. If you look at the final rundowns in some races, he finished way back. There's Kenny Wallace. First 5 races, you see all in the top 10, 4 in the top 5, no worse than third. The last 5 races, look at that, 20th, 13th, 9th, 19th, and 15th. Ouch, that smarts.
And Kenny Wallace will be driving a Winston Cup car later this month in Charlotte. He will be filling in for Kyle Petty, who was injured at Talladega the other week. He will drive the Winston start to finish as of our latest word, and he may relieve drive for Kyle. There is some question whether Kyle will be able to start the race and climb out of it, but Kenny Wallace has got at least those 2 races, and we understand maybe even Dover.
Charlotte Motor Speedway unofficial practice the other day. 20 Winston Cup cars on hand. Kenny's first shot in Kyle's car, unofficially the quickest car there with a lap over 172 miles per hour. Kenny Wallace can get the job done, and he's a year or 2 perhaps at the most away from a full-time Winston Cup ride.
And Wallace is beginning to check out on third place Robert Presley. His job now is to chase down the leader, while Presley has his hands full with Burton, who is one of those drivers who went to that road racing school out in Arizona recently. In fact, they have pulled away from the 5th place car. There is a significant gap. And we'll be back with more action from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. 37 laps are complete of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Chuck Bound looking for his first victory of the 1991 season. Don't go away.
Tough beards can't stand up to twin edges. Neither can the rain. Rally twin edge wipers. Twice the rain clearing power in every stroke. It's the power of twin edges in a single blade. The first cleans, the second cleans up. For wiper performance beyond compare. With blades warranted for a lifetime. Fit virtually all of today's cars and trucks. A sleek new profile everybody loves. Rally twin edge wipers.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240-card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
Mission: create the ultimate automobile polish. Mission accomplished. Liquid Crystal, the most technologically advanced automobile polish ever made. A dull, faded blazer, the shine instantly restored with no rubbing, no buffing. And after 104 car washes, water still beads. Liquid Crystal will shine and protect better than any car wax you've ever used, or your money back. Liquid Crystal, quite simply, the best shine and protection money can buy.
In America, your car's not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Today's coverage of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 is being brought to you by new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car.
One of the local drivers who was hoping to have a good run today, Saxonburg, Pennsylvania's Ed Ferree, is behind the wall in his Wolf's Head Oil Buick, and Bill Hennessy is there with him.
Well, Ed Ferree has a whole puddle of transmission fluid inside the car. Ed, what's the problem?
Well, you know, we've been fighting the Wolf's Head Motor Oil Ferree Buick all weekend, and we've been having a lot of seal trouble with the transmission. I don't know if the drive shaft's vibrating or what, but we put about 3 seals in it, and we actually used a hose clamp and hose clamped this on with little brackets, hoping it wouldn't come out. But as you can see, there's oil all over the floor there, and I think it must have blew the seal out again.
Well, you still want to get out there and run a few more laps, obviously.
Well, that's what we'd like to do. We're trying to run for Rookie of the Year, and any little bit helps. So hopefully we'll go back out, and a few other cars drop out. We'll move up a couple spots, but that's all we can hope for.
On the Speedway, a battle for the 4th position as Steve Grissom, a strong runner here in his Channel Lock Oldsmobile, has moved around the Armor Star Chevrolet of Jeff Burton. And Grissom's having an excellent race here so far, someone who loves this track.
He started 10th, moved up to 4th. We've got the black consultation flag has just been given to the number 9 car of Joe Bessie. As we see the cars moving down the backstretch, Steve Grissom leading Jeff Burton. Those guys well in back of the leader, Chuck Bound. Bound 1.25 seconds ahead of Kenny Wallace, and it's some 4 seconds back from 1st to 3rd. That 3rd spot currently being held by Robert Presley.
Now look at how the cars work through turns 4 and 5. They're drifting up toward the outside wall. That's a shot coming off of turn 3 going down the backstretch, the fastest portion of this racetrack. Your race leader there, that is car number 22. That is a red car, very similar from a distance to Chuck Baum, but that is Jeff Berry, the Berry & Associates Buick, one of the Grand National North drivers from Norwich, Connecticut. That is Tracy Leslie, Detroit Gasket Oldsmobile Rookie of the Year candidate, an ARCA champion and ARCA Rookie of the Year, who is finding the education process in the Grand National Series a bit more difficult than he expected. There is your Grand National points leader, car number 44, Bobby Labonte in the Penrose Oldsmobile. He took that lead last week as Joe Bessie comes on to pit road for the consultation flag. A pair of 8s there, 28, Davey Allison. followed by David Green. That is a battle for position on the Speedway.
David Green trying to back up that win from a couple of weeks ago in Gainesville, Georgia. He and Davey Allison Myers there a little bit further back in the pack as they work around the slower lapped automobile. They're out of turn number 1. That's car number 78.
Larry Brolsma, one of the 8 Grand National North drivers who are in this afternoon's contest. This is an official points race for the Busch Grand National North Tour. Now, they only count their best 17 finishes toward determining the title, so a good finish here today could help their point standings considerably. A bad finish here, they can always throw it out at the end of the year.
The more races you run, the more chance you have to get really 17 good races in. As we see Steve Grissom now has moved around Robert Presley. He's in the 3rd spot. Grissom is heading towards the front. This Gadsden, Alabama driver last year led 99 laps of this race. At one point looked like he was going to win it going away. Had some problems later on in the event, and the victory would not happen. At the time, he was looking for his first win. Then he went on a tear late in the year, won 4 races, including the season finale. And you talk about drivers that have had a rough start to 1991. He has had one. He's still looking for that first win. He'd like to have it today. He's running now in the 3rd spot. He's got some scrambling to do to catch up to the cars running 1st and 2nd, Chuck Bound and Kenny Wallace.
I just think he has to be patient like he's doing. The car seems to be underneath him. He's making some ground up on the leaders. And if he just stays patient, there'll be a caution. He'll get time to be backed up right behind him. And, you know, he might have things going his way today.
Now, Chuck Bound has pulled significantly away from the field. That's a Steve Grissom battle for 3rd. They're a good 8 seconds behind the race leader as Grissom now begins to extend his margin over Presley in the Alliance Training Center's Oldsmobile. Presley, who usually qualifies, certainly in the last few races, has qualified very well, but has a difficult time keeping the car underneath him. It's a handling question. He is working it through. He's got 2 great drivers as now up front. That is Chuck Bound in the Nescafe Classic Pontiac. He is being followed closely now by the Cox-treated lumber Pontiac of Kenny Wallace. This will be a battle for the lead once they clear race traffic.
They got around that car. Bound got away from that lap car on the entry to the turn. Kenny had to wait midway through the turn. That cost him some ground.
Well, he going into that turn over there, turn 3, he just was looking for the opening there. He was going to the bottom side with that guy just in case he made a move, and it closed up on him, and he had to go back in behind Chuck.
Chuck Bound has opened up 3 car lengths again on Kenny Wallace, opened up a little breathing room, but as well as Wallace has been running, he'll close that daylight in just about a heartbeat, a lap or 2, and he'll be right back on Chuck Bound. There's Jeff Gordon just slipped underneath the Exxon Chevrolet of Ken Schrader, and that is, I believe, for the 6th position. So Jeff Gordon, who had a rough week at South Boston, I think we spent half the day going, Jeff Gordon in the wall, turn 4. We did that about 3 or 4 times. And Gordon was trying to run 2 races last weekend. He ran the South Boston Grand National Series race. Then he got on an airplane, went to Indianapolis, Indiana to run a USAC race. He got there, he qualified, and then he got mixed up on the tire rule. He went to start the heat race. He had the wrong tires on, and they DQ'd him. So all that for nothing.
That's true. So that's a rough way to go, travel that far and not get your race.
And Jeff Gordon, a rookie who you might not expect to do well here because this is a track that requires some experience. He says, I just love this place. He said, I don't know what it is about this layout. He said, I don't know anything about it before I came here, but he said, I'm having a great time.
Mark and I spoke with him this morning, and he was very excited about this race today. He felt like the car was working well for him, and he thinks he can get up front.
We're 55 laps into the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Chuck Bound's the leader. Kenny Wallace is 2nd. Steve Grissom is 3rd. And we'll have more in just a moment.
If only your tires could talk. It's so tiring. He babies the car, then abuses me with messy vinyl cleaner. Hey, I'm rubber. No-touch tire care. Ooh, nice foam.
Introducing No Touch Tire Care, the first product to clean, shine, and protect tires in one easy step. No scrubbing, no dirty rags, no mess.
Yeah, clean and shiny. Oh no, bad doggy, go away.
Treat your tires right with new No Touch Tire Care.
If your car's hesitating and hard to start, it's time for a tune-up, right? Not if you've a clogged fuel injector. Then it's time for Gum Out Extra Fuel Injector Cleaner. Just 1 bottle of Gum Out Extra added to a tank of gas unclogs fuel injectors better than detergent gasolines alone. Gum Out frees your car from hard start, sluggish performance, and stalling. So before you get an expensive tune-up, try Gum Out Extra for fuel injectors and carburetors.
Gum Out is available at Pep Boys. This engine's being slowly destroyed.
Because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
Brian Bosworth. They think he's stone crazy.
You picked up the wrong passenger, buddy!
But he's really stone cold. Rated R. Starts Friday at select theaters.
You know, Rust-Oleum Wood Saver trim paint is so moisture resistant, you paint your trim less often and have time for other things. Like playing ball with the kids. Paint less often. Use Rust-Oleum Wood Saver.
Chuck Bound, the defending Grand National Series champion, took the lead from our pole sitter Jimmy Hensley on lap 24 and has led ever since. Kenny Wallace is right behind him, and Steve Grissom is 6 seconds back, followed by Robert Presley and Jeff Burton. Sitting in the 6th spot, Jeff Gordon, the surprising rookie from Pittsburgh, Indiana. Then it's Ken Schrader, Jimmy Hensley, Davey Allison, and David Green.
Currently, we've got 11th, Mike Wallace, followed by Dave Rezendes, Bobby Labonte, Ward Burton, Tommy Houston, Tom Peck, also running still on the lead lap, Ricky Craven, Elton Sawyer, Joe Nemechek, Tony Hirschman, and Butch Miller.
Now, Chuck Bound and Kenny Wallace had a good battle for the lead just a moment ago, but race traffic foiled Wallace's effort to take the spot. They are now clear of lapped cars for just a moment, and we'll be watching to see if that Cox-treated lumber Pontiac can close in on the red rear deck lid of Bound.
Of course, that car sporting the famous black bumper. Every time the Hensley Racing team ran into some bad luck, this year they went to the black bumper, which last year, for the folks who don't know the story, they hadn't won a race going into Gainesville, Georgia, and for the heck of it, they just left the bumper black the way it came from Pontiac. They won the race. They left it that way all year. 5 more wins the championship. This year, at the beginning of the year, they went back. Just the all-red car didn't work, so they went right back to the black bumper. You see Jeff Green moving underneath the Joe Bessie machine. Also back there, Ricky Craven looking for some running room along with Jimmy Hensley.
Those are 2 Grand National Series drivers. The Joe Bessie machine presently sitting second in the standings. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that he had a real tangle with the wall on the second of his qualifying laps. That is Jimmy Hensley right there in the number 25 machine. Jimmy Hensley looking for his second victory of the season and trying to make it 2 in a row here at Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
He's got his hands full right now with Ken Schrader as they work on that short straightaway heading for the second turn. Schrader has run pretty strong from the outset of this Pontiac Pacesetters 200, now working on the back deck of Jimmy Hensley as they move out of that sweeping third turn on that long downhill back straightaway.
Now, because this is combining 2 of the Grand National Series, the Southern Tour and the Northern Tour, a lot of these cars have the same number. Folks who follow the Grand National North Series say, well, 25 is Ricky Craven. Well, he's running number 2 today. What happens is whoever qualifies higher gets to keep his car number, and then the opposing series driver has to take another number that is available.
Sounds democratic to me.
It's called based on performance. It has nothing to do with democracy. It's I was faster than you were.
There's David Green, Mike Wallace moving in there. Green has just moved by Davey Allison. Mike Wallace getting set to go to work on the Hueytown, Alabama native as they work across the start-finish line. You see the lime green back bumper. That's how you can tell Mike Wallace is on the racetrack, driving that Daly's Fruit Juices Pontiac as he's trying to get by Davey Allison. That is a battle for 9th position on the racetrack as Wallace, after a solid run at Gainesville, had a rough week at South Boston, but he's coming back today with another good run.
Now, you make it sound like that was unusual. There was nothing unusual about troubles that everybody had last year. He's a Mid-America Winston Racing Series champion. Got his big break 3 races ago when he climbed in down at the Gainesville, Georgia Speedway, Lanier Raceway, and finished 3rd. That was the first time in series history that a rookie won the race. A rookie came home 2nd, and a rookie finished 3rd.
Robert Presley isn't a real veteran either. He finished 4th. He had to go back to 5th and Chuck Bound before you found a veteran driver in the rundown. A great race for the newcomers as you see them working around the Joe Bessie machine. That's the lap car. Allison sort of pinched Wallace in there, a little bit of blocking. Wallace a little bit quicker, but Davey's been using the traffic to keep him at bay.
Yeah, Yeah, he had him pinched down in the slower car there. But and I'll tell you what, Mike Wallace's car is working very well on the bottom of the racetrack right there. And it might just be a matter of time before he might get by Davey.
And there is the margin between your front two cars. Chuck Bound in the red number 63, Kenny Wallace in the black number 36 with the green numerals as they head under turn 2. Let's carry around the speedway here. You say, well, this isn't a normal oval. You're absolutely right. It's not. They're coming off of turn 3 there. That's a line corner down the 1,200-foot backstretch as they begin to encounter traffic. Car number 19 is Troy Beebe, who normally runs number 9 on the southern turf, but was out-qualified by a north driver. Then they're swinging up out of turn number 4 and 5, back to the start-finish line.
Chuck Bound working to the outside of Tony Hirschman. Just up ahead, you see the yellow and white car. That is the Taco Bell Chevrolet of Troy Beebe. Hirschman unofficially currently running 20th, so Bound starting to get deep into the field as far as the lapping goes. And there's Kenny Wallace right there. As Bound had some trouble with Hirschman, Hirschman's running strong enough to be pesky enough for Bound to have to really work hard and heat up those tires to get by.
Yeah, he made a move to the outside there in turn 3. The car looked like it got a little loose on it getting off there. And of course, there's Kenny. He's tucked up right behind him waiting for a mistake.
And Hirschman normally runs number 1. He's running number 11 because number 1, Jeff Gordon, out-qualified him. Hirschman in the SFK Bearings Oldsmobile has a large contingent of fans here for today's race. He got one of the biggest cheers in driver introductions before this afternoon's event.
They got a mob here with blue hats. I mean, you can easily spot them in the grandstand.
Top of the speedway, the black car, Kenny Wallace, right behind him, Troy Beebe in the Taco Bell machine. As the field is sorting itself out well around the speedway. Now, there have been very few close calls, but if you get up high like Beebe did just a moment ago, someone's going to take away the position as moments ago. That was easily done by Tracy Leslie, and a little nudge there shoves Beebe further up the speedway. This is the shot from turn 4 and 5. 6 degrees of banking there, a real tricky spot on this track that saw a lot of action in the modified race. We've got 71 laps on the board of the 200 in this Grand National event. We'll be back with more from Nazareth, Pennsylvania in a moment.
And it's another day of sub-freezing.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with the Champion from Walmart. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Just $49.96 at Walmart every day.
She may not care that visual perfection took years to develop. She may not care that visual perfection's state-of-the-art technology produces an unsurpassed, deep, rich, brilliant color. Well, maybe she does. Visual perfection from Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
Hey, I like to save money as much as the next guy. But what are the odds that there's going to be a sale on the parts you need when your car breaks down? Hey, it's not going to happen. That's why I go to AutoZone. I mean, sure, you could wait around for a couple weeks and maybe beat their price by a few pennies someplace else. But I don't want to wait for a sale when I need a part. Now, what more could you ask for?
Today's coverage of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 is being brought to you by the more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price.
Winston Cup visitor Ken Schrader, who started 7th and was having such a strong run early, is beginning to backpedal in 6 on Superflow Chevrolet just a little bit. Let's see if we can get an update on pit road on that story.
Ken Cahuth is a crew chief for Kenny Schrader. Kenny, what's going wrong with it?
Well, right now, coming off the last corner here, it's real lazy off the corner. Something's wrong with the motor. We're not quite sure. We're catching caution. We're going to get up in the air and look underneath. We think a pipe's separating on the header, so it might be all right if we can hang in there for a little while.
Time will tell for Kenny Schrader.
Schrader had a number of strong runs just about every time he's shown up in the Grand National Series this year. He's had good performances, a couple, of course, at Hickory and then down at Daytona International Speedway. This is a guy that would run probably 365 days a year if there was a race somewhere.
I think he might run a go-kart if he had the opportunity, or even a turtle with wheels and a motor. He might get on the top, try to steer that thing around the racetrack.
Well, right around Christmas, he ran a USAC indoor show in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was just one of many events that he did to round out last year, and he just keeps right on racing it. If it's got 4 wheels, if it's got a steering wheel, if it's got pedals, and he says, hey, I'll drive it, no problem.
Chuck Bound continues to lead this race as he comes across the stripe. 78 laps are complete of this 200-lap race. Kenny Wallace hanging right there with him, but it's 8 seconds back to the third-place car, and Bound is already lapping into the 15th-place machines, and he's a blistering pace so far from both Chuck Bound and Kenny Wallace. And before we get to the next caution, they may get so many cars down a lap, just take them right out of contention. They're making it their own little private slap fight right now.
Well, this is a different race than we saw in the last couple of years, too. This used to be a 300-lap event. It has been shortened to 200 this year. How does that end up affecting strategy, Derek?
Well, anytime you shorten a race up like that, a guy can drive the car a little harder. The car can be set up just maybe a tick looser for those shorter runs. It's just going to depend, on gas mileage too at the end of this thing. We'll see where the caution flag comes into play.
Just up ahead of Chuck Bound is that pack of race cars. Tommy Houston is right there. That will be a very major surprise early on in this race. Before we even get to halfway, Tommy Houston is going to be down a lap up ahead of Chuck Bound. The lapped automobiles there. Ricky Craven, Dave Rezendes, who started third, and then there's Tommy Houston. Bound dips underneath the Craven machine. He'll now go to work on Dave Rezendes and Tommy Houston.
And Rezendes, who finished second last year for his best Grand National finish, is about to go a lap down to the race leader. He started third today. He had high hopes of doing well, but he has already been put a lap down by Chuck Bound. Kenny Wallace has worked around him to the high side. There's something clearly wrong with that Oldsmobile. That is also the number 2 car of Ricky Craven. Ricky Craven, the Grand National North points leader. We'll be back with more action as we approach halfway here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Don't go away.
Next week, Nashville Now stars Sweethearts of the Rodeo, Ray Stevens, John McNally, Highway 101, Gary Morris, Mike Snyder, Vinnie Pearl, and the special salute to Opryland's 20th anniversary. Live next week on Nashville Now.
You gotta lose it for yourself. You gotta lose it for your health. And when you take it off, you feel so great. Slim Fast helps you lose the weight. It's the way of life. You're looking great now. The Slim Fast way of life. You're losing weight and feeling great. The Slim Fast way of life.
As far as the way you communicate music, I think that is just something that comes natural. One of my most memorable nights was the first time I performed on the Opry stage. You know, I've never been as nervous in my life doing anything, but at the same time, I don't think I've enjoyed anything any more than that. It was quite a night. Like Ralph, for instance, had me on his show on Nashville Now. They've been good to me. I like the network a lot.
Happy to have you along for Grand National action here from the Pennsylvania International Raceway. A little bit earlier this afternoon, the Winston Modified Tour made its first ever visit to the Speedway. Here's your finish order, still unofficial, but Jan Leedy is your race winner. Jamie Tomeno was second, Mike Stefanik third, Jeff Fuller fourth, and Doug Heveron fifth. Here in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 Grand National Show, we're rapidly approaching halfway, and that means pit stops will be coming up soon. Ralph Shaheen has a story on that on pit road.
That's exactly right, Mark. Steve Bird is a crew chief for Kenny Wallace, our second-place competitor. Steve, if we stay green, when will you bring Kenny in?
I'll probably come in somewhere between 100 and 120. I think that's about as far as everybody can go, and it'll be interesting right in there who gets in first and gets out here. As long as it stays green, it'll be good.
Would you go with 4 tires or just 2?
All we can change here today is 2 tires. NASCAR rules here. 2 tires enough under a green and go, though.
Kenny Wallace had closed in on Chuck Bound a little bit earlier, but once they cleared race traffic, really Bound was able to check out.
The gap from first to third just keeps opening up, and right now Bound has lapped everybody but the top 13 cars, so He is running very, very strong, and let's go down pit road to Bill Hennessy.
Jeff Hensley, the crew chief on the Chuck Bound car. Looks like you guys are dialed in.
You know, the Nestle Classic Pontiac is really working good, and these Goodyear Racing Eagles are doing a great job. We're only about 2/10 off what we started to race, and we worked really hard yesterday and today to get this car will be consistent. That's the name of the game at this place.
What's the game plan here for the pit stop?
Well, you know, if it goes under green and we're going to stop on lap 104 and just take gas only, you know, because it's a green flag stop. I don't think we can gain anything by changing tires because the tires are real quick for a couple laps, and then they just kind of fall in a consistent around 29, 50, and 60, and that's what we're running, you know, and I just don't see where we can gain anything by changing right now.
They've been in the game a long, long time. They know how to play it very, very well. They won a championship last year. They're after the second one this season.
Incredibly enough, it's hard to believe that Chuck Bound has gone winless since August of last year.
Been very difficult for this race team. They first half of 1991, 3/4 of that, or 1990 rather, they were just hot as a firecracker. They cooled off at the end of the year, but they had built up such a big lead. They cruised into the championship by 200 points. As I mentioned earlier, this is just the second race that Bound has led all year. They've been fast, but they haven't got some breaks. And Derek, one thing as we listen to both crew chiefs for Kenny Wallace and Chuck Bound, Bound's crew chief says we're not going to change tires. Will that dictate any strategy for Kenny Wallace? Because Bound's team should gain another 4 or 5 seconds if they don't change tires.
Well, Steve Birdie there, he didn't, show his hand. He told between 105 to 120, and they're just waiting to see exactly what Bound will do. If he comes in, if he does not take tires, they got to go back to see, reevaluate their strategy and see if track position's worth the tires or not.
As you can see, the field is well sprung out around the speedway. That is David Green, the winner a few weeks ago in that number 8 machine. As the sun begins to set a little bit, Derek, an interesting question for you. What about the factor of sun and the visibility for the drivers?
Well, definitely the sun, plays a factor when you're coming back into like turn 3 maybe and trying to look back down the corner there, coming out of their blind. It has a tendency to put a little reflection from the dashboard in the side of the windshield. It's a little more difficult to see there, but it should be better once they get down into turn 4.
And Todd Bodine in that number 34 car, that is the second time he has been lapped. Number 5 in the Grand National points, having a difficult day here. And Kenny Schrader is about to go a lap down. Chuck Bound puts the Winston Cup regular, the winner in Atlanta, 1 lap in arrears.
Chuck Bound has set an awesome pace, but Kenny Wallace is saying, hey, I'm not about to go anywhere.
I'll tell you, an interesting factor that has started this race is you noticed how Chuck Bound and Kenny Wallace's car, they made a very good compromise in the chassis to start with, and they've maintained that throughout. They've caught everybody else, but there's no caution periods. Being able to run, they've had, they're just not right on the chassis, and they put a lot of cars down laps.
This was a forte of the Hensley Racing team of Chuck Bound last year. The longer the race went under green, the better off they were, and apparently their chassis setup today, again, playing to that kind of strategy.
That's a key element right there. Looking to see where Jimmy Hensley is at, because he started to lay back a little bit, saying that maybe he wasn't quite right. He didn't want to abuse the car. We need to take a look and see exactly where he's at and see if maybe he's close to being a lap at this point.
Chuck Bound took the lead on lap 24 of this afternoon's race from our pole sitter Jimmy Hensley, who is still in the top 10. The report that we had earlier was he's just riding conservatively for the moment, but the pit stop window should be opening up here. We're only 6 laps away from halfway of today's race. Chuck Bound circulated the speedway that time at 29.7 seconds. That's a speed of 121 miles per hour.
Derek, you just brought up Jimmy Hensley, 2.47 seconds away from being lapped. We're lap 95 in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. We'll have more from Nazareth, Pennsylvania when we come back.
Mission: create the ultimate automobile polish. Mission accomplished. Liquid Crystal, the most technologically advanced automobile polish ever made. A dull, faded blazer, the shine instantly restored with no rubbing, no buffing. And after 104 car washes, water still beads. Liquid Crystal will shine and protect better than any car wax you've ever used, or your money back. Liquid Crystal, quite simply, the best shine and protection money can buy.
Whether I'm racing 200 miles an hour or driving 55, I don't accept compromises. You shouldn't either. The car should be responsive yet fuel efficient, roomy yet sleek, not to mention affordable.
Well, surprisingly, one car does all that and more. The new Cutlass Supreme.
So take a look at any new Cutlass Supreme and see for yourself.
Here's one car that does it all and does it right.
New generation of old.
And there's the checkered flag.
When the race is over, the scene begins. The Winston Cup scene. It's the largest and most informative NASCAR Winston Cup newspaper in the country. The pages of the Winston Cup scene are loaded with up-to-date information, insightful editorials and commentary, expanded coverage of each race, entertaining feature articles, the latest news, terrific photography, complete statistics, and even the gossip.
45 great issues, only $35. Call 1-800-800-2025 or send check or money order to Winston Cup Scene today.
Hey, Bill, checking out the scene? How'd I do?
Well, let's see. Petty. Richard Petty?
Why don't you take over? I'm into the scene. Why don't you get into the scene, too?
For the best in motorsports reading, it's Winston Cup Scene. Call 1-800-800-2025. MasterCard, Visa accepted.
Whatever conservative strategy our pole sitter Jimmy Hensley may have had in the early going is out the window now as Chuck Bound has caught and lapped him as we are just about halfway, crossed flags, halfway through the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. And the second place car of Kenny Wallace has come on to pit road. The Cox-treated lumber Pontiac changing right side tires. The question is, can he get back out without going a lap down to our race leader? They have cast their lot. They will go fresh rubber on the right side.
I think he'll lose a lap to Chuck Bound, but Bound has to make a pit stop. Jimmy Hensley now comes on to pit road. We await Chuck Bound. He's got to make a stop, and Kenny Wallace with that fresh right side rubber will be able to make up some ground. Maybe Bound needs to get in and out of here as quickly as he can.
Yeah, it was an excellent pit stop by the Cox-treated lumber Pontiac. The guys got him out real quick, and he's back up to speed right now. Let's wait and see what kind of strategy Bound pulls here.
And there's our pole sitter on pit road. Jimmy Hensley has brought his machine to a stop. Right behind him is Dave Resendiz. Virginia Gentleman, as he's nicknamed, is down and away as Chuck Bound, our race leader, comes on to pit road, and the attention of his crew. His pit was temporarily blocked there by Dave Resendiz. They will go to the right side. They're looking at tires. You see there is not a jack over there. They have made their decision. Fuel only for Chuck Bound, looking for his first victory of 1991. And they're making sure every drop gets in there.
Chuck knows that race car pretty well. He must feel pretty confident about the car staying underneath him for the remainder of the race, and he's just opting to take gas.
And that was Jeff Burton, the top 5 runner, who pulled in right behind him for his scheduled pit stop. These are all coming under green.
That was not a question of time, because with 2 cans of gas, Bound's team had certainly enough time to change the outside right tires if they wanted to.
Exactly right. They opted to just take gas only, and they're looking at the track position. Now let's take a look and see about how much time we can find between the two.
And this is where a matter of racing luck comes into play as well. Here's our mid-race summary as we've just gone past halfway. At that point, Chuck Bound, the leader. There are still 9 cars on the lead lap. We've only had 2 cautions so far. We've still got a long way to go here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Stay with us.
When Acura asked if we would design a new tire for the extraordinary NSX, we responded very quickly. Yokohama, where Acura turned for ultra-high performance.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240 card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. Gotta have it. It's so scrumptious. Love that chocolate when it crunches. Scrumptious. Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. Scrumptious.
filtering. It's our commitment to everyone who knows that draft beer is real beer, pure beer, the best beer. It's how we make Miller Genuine Draft, and it's why so many people can enjoy a beer whose taste hasn't been changed by heat pasteurization, and why so many people are making a change of their own. Get out of the old and get into the cold.
Most of the lead cars have come on to pit road under green to change tires, and when it's all sorted out, Kenny Wallace is the new race leader. Let's check in the pits with Ralph Shaheen, who's with his crew chief.
Well, Mark, if you take a look at this Goodyear Eagle Racing tire off of Kenny Wallace's car, the first thing you think is, boy, this doesn't look good at all, does it? But I asked Steve Bird, the crew chief, about it, and he says, no, that's fine. The problem is, this is a softer compound than Goodyear normally runs here at Nazareth. So the tires are just taking a little bit more chunking out of it. He says it's not affecting the car at all. It won't affect the way Kenny runs this race. This is also the same tire that Chuck Bound is running, so there should not be a difference between the two. Steve Bird is happy with what he sees and says Kenny can go all the way.
No problem on fuel. Certainly a good decision on tires when you see the problems that they were having there. Now, Bobby Labonte, who's shown for the fans here at the racetrack as the leader, also came onto pit road just a few moments ago. It's a matter of sorting out the green flag pit stops to get our race leader, but certainly Kenny Wallace is one of the top running cars. Jeff Burton is also having an excellent run. He came onto pit road just a few moments ago. As we have it from NASCAR scoring, our leader of the race is Jeff Burton, followed by Jeff Gordon and the number 8 car, the TIC Transportation Machine of David Green.
They had to have some very good pit stops to make up that kind of ground on the racetrack. So those cars, those crews have been running strong all year, and certainly no different here this afternoon in Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Right now, Kenny Wallace is pulling away ever so slightly from Chuck Bound, but it'll be interesting to see just how long those tires perform that way and see if Chuck can start creeping back up on it.
That's Jeff Burton in the Armor Meats Chevrolet, closing in on the rear deck lid of Steve Grissom, who's had several top 5 finishes here in the first 3 years that they've run this event up here. A 5-turn oval that looks more like a road, handles more like a road course. See the shadows starting to descend here down the backstretch. That's through turns 4 and 5. Jeff Burton, the winner last week in South Boston, Virginia, in front of the hometown fans for his second career victory, attempting to move by Grissom's blue number 31, sporting different sponsorship for this weekend, the Channel Lock Tool boats.
Two of the best young drivers on the Busch Grand National Series, Jeff Burton, as we mentioned, the winner a week ago in South Boston, Virginia. He got out of that race car and said, oh, my tired little arms. He lost the power steering with about 100 laps to go at a place like South Boston, which wears you out anyways. No wonder when that race was over, his tongue was hanging out. I mean, he had to really work.
Yeah, you get accustomed to driving with power steering, then you don't have it. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a big difference.
Coming onto pit road is one of the drivers who was having a strong run early, which was Kenny Schrader. He'll come to the attention of his crew. There is Chuck Bound moving down the backstretch into turn number 4. The scoring update shows him now in second place as the lead cars have now made their pit stop. Here is the leaderboard as we see it. Kenny Wallace, your leader. There's Chuck Bound second. Third is Tommy Houston. Fourth, just moments ago, was Kenny Schrader, but he has come to the attention of his crew. And fifth is Ricky Craven, the Grand National North driver.
The gap first to second from Kenny Wallace to Chuck Bound, about 2.87 seconds. And as Chuck Bound's crew chief had said before, there's just no advantage to changing tires because he felt they would go away so quickly that why take the gamble of getting those tires off stagger or having a problem with those if you got a pretty good set on the race car.
That's true. As you see that, Kenny was ever so slightly moving it out ahead of him by, just a second a lap, and all of a sudden it equalized, and now Chuck's starting to reel him back in again. They've got a great chassis working for him today.
There's the opportunity on this speedway as you see drivers dive right down to that white line and across it. There's some rumble strips down there which get the driver's attention. They do not affect the car's handling, but they definitely show you that you can go beyond the white line. There's some more rumble strips right there entering turn 1 as Kenny Wallace with that new right side rubber is doing a nice job moving down through turn 3. This is a long sweeper, a blind turn. He'll be moving through turn 3 as Bobby Labonte, the Grand National points leader. That's an interesting battle. We're watching for position if the race were to end right now. Looks like Kenny Wallace would be back in the points lead.
By just a few points, as a matter of fact. The gap only 27 points going into this race. Believe me, Bobby Labonte and Kenny Wallace will be there all year long battling for the championship. Either one of them could very easily win it.
We'll be back with more action from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, as most of the major pit stops are now complete. Now it's time for the drivers to sort it out here in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200.
This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
If you've been waiting for a sale on carburetors, just remember this. At AutoZone, our carburetors start at just $59.99 every day. When it gets really hot, do you really want to wait for a sale? At AutoZone, our air conditioning compressors start at just $69.99 every day, so you never have to wait for a sale.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
We've got 80 laps to go here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and one of the drivers who ran well early but has run into some serious problems, could be race-ending problems, is in the garage. Ralph Shaheen is with Ken Schrader.
Well, Kenny Schrader did bring the Exxon Chevrolet back behind the wall. Kenny, what's the problem?
I guess the rear main seal's leaking or something. We got black flag, and it's not getting anywhere on the track, but, you know, we don't need to be out there. It's leaking oil.
Well, Kenny's a true gentleman. He knows when to race and when to bring it behind the wall and let the other guys have at it. That's what he's doing today.
Too bad the driver who now resides in Concord, North Carolina, came over from the St. Louis, Missouri area. One of 3 Wallaces in today's race. Kenny Wallace is the younger brother, Mike Wallace the middle brother, and well, we got the wrong family there. Let's get the right family. That would be a big help, wouldn't it? Now I was sitting there going, there has to be something different.
Their mom
that.
would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Don't want to start any trouble in either family.
A couple of moments ago, coming onto pit road was Tommy Houston, who was on the leaderboard there for a while, but down on pit road is Bill Hennessy with his crew chief, Scott Houston, with an update.
Scott is a son of Tommy Houston. Tells the story on Tommy. It was an extended run for him under green before he made the pit stop, and we understand he might have some problems in the engine compartment.
Well, he radioed in a while ago that the accelerator might be hanging a little bit. We put in our notes that we were going to run out of gas on 120, and that's when she ran out of gas.
Well, that's the word from here in the Rose's store pits for the Buick of Tommy Houston. As he said, no problem with 5 cylinders. The engine's running okay, just a little problem with the accelerator.
These engines are fairly bulletproof in the Grand National Series. These cars, proven technology, but it's when they run them hard like this, things will happen. And we've got trouble on the backstretch. Jeff Gordon is one of the cars involved, and car number 99, it appears, Jeff Burton.
And just ahead of those cars, or just behind them rather, were the lead cars on our scoreboard, Kenny Wallace and Chuck Bound. With so much smoke there, we certainly hope the leaders were able to scramble their way through there, but an awful lot of traffic in that part of the racetrack. Kenny Wallace comes by, so does Bound.
And there's the replay. That is the roadblock thrown up by David Green. As you see, Jeff Burton had absolutely nowhere to go, and actually Jeff Gordon did a nice job of spinning to avoid the trouble.
Tony Hirschman also involved there in that white car to the right part of the screen, scrambling through unhurt, was Todd Bodine. The car they like to call the Scud. It didn't land, and you see the smoking, hulking mess that is now car number 99 for Jeff Burton. We're back under yellow. We're 125 laps into the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Kenny Wallace, the leader. Chuck Bown is second. We'll have more from Nazareth, Pennsylvania in just a moment.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240-card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
Jim Fox. It's time. Mike Bell. Time.
Isn't it a shame, owners of cars and trucks seeing them quit before their time?
You're out back.
Maybe the owners don't know about AC Delco, a full line of auto parts designed with proper maintenance to help your car or truck last.
Nick Bickner.
What if everybody knew?
Nick. Debbie? Huh?
AC Delco.
Where is everybody?
It's like buying time.
The time has finally come for the cordless power roller from Wagner. Now you control the flow of paint, so the Wagner power roller can cut jobs in half. Smoothly and evenly, it can cover areas twice as fast. And cleanup is a snap, so you can finish one job and do another. Get your hands on a real value, because the value of Wagner keeps on rolling.
Mission: create the ultimate automobile polish. Mission accomplished. Liquid Crystal, the most technologically advanced automobile polish ever made. A dull, faded blazer, the shine instantly restored with no rubbing, no buffing. And after 104 car washes, water still beads. Liquid Crystal will shine and protect better than any car wax you've ever used, or your money back. Liquid Crystal, quite simply, the best shine and protection money can buy.
Today's coverage of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 is being brought to you by Turtle Wax Liquid Crystal. Liquid Crystal, the best shine and protection money can buy.
Only our third caution came out on lap 24. Derek Cope, describe what's happening here.
Well, right here, coming off turn 3, Kenny Wallace, he sees it early, and he sees a bunch of smoke, and at that point, he tries to slow the race car down, move over to the right side. He can get a chance to see Jeff Gordon down there on the bottom against the wall.
And here's another angle on it.
Yep, right now, you can see that 11 car, Tony Hirschman, he spun around coming off turn 3, and then just slipping by on the high side there, a car, and then the 99 car of Jeff Burton spins out and goes down and hits the inside retaining wall.
It's getting hard with those shadows to tell what the car numbers are in that shot, and also hard for the drivers as well. Now, down on pit road is one of the drivers involved in that incident, and he's with Ralph Shaheen.
Jeff, can you tell us what went wrong?
Well, the car was running real good. It's really unfortunate because the team worked really hard on it, but the 11 car was blocking the racetrack, and Grissom was right behind him. The 11 car was at least one lap down, and Grissom got into him, and he spun right in front of us. There's nowhere to go.
That pretty well says it all. And one of the things that happened during that caution is that Chuck Bown came on to pit road. He came on to pit road 26 laps later than Kenny Wallace.
There's a good reason for that. By having all these cars down laps, by him coming in and taking on tires, he's able to go up to the outside and move up all the way to the front because he's one of the few cars on the late lap, so it puts him in great track position again.
We'll be back with more action from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. 72 laps are remaining, and basically an incident, 3 events so far. We'll be back with more to see if they can run green to the finish in just a moment.
Sunday, Mexico's tough Baja Desert, a punishing 250-mile course for off-road racing's prestigious Tecate Score San Felipe 250. Hard-running, kick-dirt competition all the way. Score Off-Road Racing, Sports Sunday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern on TNN.
At universities like this,
Clinical studies prove there's a way to lose weight safely and effectively without caffeine or caffeine nervousness. It's Dexatrim. Dexatrim helps you control your appetite so you can lose weight without feeling hungry. And no other weight loss product has more published medical studies to show that it works. In fact, studies prove that 4 out of 5 people lost weight with Dexatrim. Now that's powerful proof.
Dexatrim, medically proven to help you lose weight.
Here we go. Now we're rolling. Time to get going. I'm gonna pack a little bag, throwing a couple things I can use. Wings or wheels or railroad steel, I just love the feel of these traveling shoes.
There's never been a better time or better travel values to go USA.
That's the view of turns 2 and 3 here at the Pennsylvania International Raceway. Let's show you the cars that are still on the Speedway at this point. That's Kenny Wallace, followed by Mike Wallace, Ricky Craven, Tommy Houston, Tom Peck, Chuck Bound, the 87 car of Joe Nemechek, then it's Jimmy Hensley. Now these are not necessarily their order on the scoreboard right now. This is their order on the racetrack.
Behind Jimmy Hensley will be the Davey Allison car, then Elton Sawyer, Jeff Gordon, Dave Rezendes, Bobby Labonte, Bobby Daughter still running in this race, along with Tracy Leslie, Dave Rezendes. We also see the Larry Brolsma machine, I believe, still out there. Ed Barrier, Todd Bodine, Ken Bouchard also still on the racetrack running in this event as we try to work our way through the back of the pack. Robert Presley also still circulating around this 1 mile racetrack. We're under yellow on lap 131 of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. When we come back, there'll be 68 laps to go in this event here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. We'll be right back.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
And it's another day of sub-freezing.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with the Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now from these fine stores.
This is the leaderboard that NASCAR officials carry in the pits. It shows your leader is Kenny Wallace, Chuck Bounds second, David Green third, Steve Grissom fourth, and 1 lap down in fifth is Mike Wallace. On pit road with the story is Bill Hennessy.
Boy, everybody showed up for take a look and see how the scoring was done. NASCAR officials met with about 7 crew chiefs down here. Everybody got their pens and papers out, wrote it all down. And like you said, the 18 car, Mike Wallace, is running in 5th place, a lap down, followed by Jimmy Hensley. Then Davey Allison in the 44 car of Bobby Labonte. And then the 1 car of Jeff Green rides in 10th place.
Chuck Bound and Kenny Wallace, Derek Cope, hold all the cards right now. We see that Bound came in, took on right side tires, and comes right out in 2nd spot. Kenny Wallace now on older tires, certainly bound with the advantage there, but that again can work back and forth for the rest of this race. Every time we have a caution, they can go on, take on right side tires, and mosey right back to the front of the pack. So Kenny, the next yellow, could very well turn the tide, do the same trick to Chuck Bound and his team.
Well, it's that typical cat and mice game there, you know, wondering how the yellows are going to fall and then play your strategy upon that. And, you know, again, you don't know, like you mentioned a minute ago, maybe Bound was admitting they made a mistake and didn't take on tires earlier, and they opted to take them on now. And if it goes green, it's probably the right move.
And it's called racing luck, folks. Sometimes you can overcome your mistakes just because of the mistakes of someone else. We'll be back with more action from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Busch Grand National action. Stop number 11 on the tour. Stay with us.
Tough beards can't stand up to twin edges. Neither can the rain. Rally Twin Edge Wipers. Twice the rain-clearing power in every stroke. It's the power of twin edges in a single blade. The first cleans, the second cleans up. For wiper performance beyond compare. With blades warranted for a lifetime. Fit virtually all of today's cars and trucks. A sleek new profile everybody loves. Rally Twin Edge Wipers.
Mission: create the ultimate automobile polish. Mission accomplished. Liquid Crystal, the most technologically advanced automobile polish ever made. A dull, faded blazer, the shine instantly restored with no rubbing, no buffing. And after 104 car washes, water still beads. Liquid Crystal will shine and protect better than any car wax you've ever used, or your money back. Liquid Crystal, quite simply, the best shine and protection money can buy.
You don't have to worry when rain keeps pouring down, 'cause your home can take it whatever comes around.
New Olympic Water Guard for wood. The one water sealant that repels water, resists sun damage, fights mildew, and strengthens wood.
We'll stop the rain.
Olympic stops the rain.
Save $2 on Water Guard. Offer good through July 27th at participating Olympic dealer.
Back here under a lengthy caution here at the Pennsylvania International Raceway. They have cleared the debris from the incident which occurred on lap 124. Now NASCAR is in the process of sorting out scoring, making sure all the cars that are on the lead lap are in the correct position. They will hold the field and make sure it's set up right this way rather than send them back under green and have somebody in the wrong position.
While we've got a little bit of a moment, want to wish speedy recoveries. We mentioned Kyle Petty a little bit earlier in our broadcast. He was flown home from Birmingham, Alabama yesterday as he recovers from that severely broken left leg from that wild melee in Talladega, Alabama that you were involved in last week, Derek. We also want to wish best wishes to Jake Elder. He underwent angioplasty as we see Jeff Burton's car being worked on. Jake underwent surgery yesterday. We hope he's doing well and resting comfortably in Charlotte. Also, Linda McReynolds, the crew chief for Larry McReynolds on the Davey Allison car. She was in the hospital, and we certainly hope she's feeling better as well.
And Tony Hirschman's car is back on the speedway. He had gotten a little loose coming off of turn 3 to trigger that last caution. He's missing his front valence, but he's back out there now. He's had a rough day.
He certainly has, and he wants to make that car look like a modified. He has more experience in open wheels. Let's carve the sheet metal off this thing and let's go at it. Still under yellow here in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200, and I'll tell you what, I've just got the feeling that this is going to be a heck of a finish. Chuck Bound and Kenny Wallace setting up for this thing, and I believe, again, unofficially, that Steve Grissom may be the third car left on the lead lap as NASCAR continues to straighten things out. We'll take another break, and we'll come right back. We're on lap 137 of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Kenny Wallace is the leader. Chuck Bound is chasing. We'll be right back.
When Acura asked if we would design a new tire for the extraordinary NSX, we responded very quickly.
Yokohama, where Acura turned for ultra-high performance. In America, your car's not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
She may not care the visual perfection took years to develop. She may not care that visual perfection, state-of-the-art technology produces an unsurpassed, deep, rich, brilliant color. Well, maybe she does. Visual perfection from Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
Cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
We've just gone back under green, and we have a new race leader, Chuck Bound, who took on tires during that last caution, just blew by Kenny Wallace to take the top spot.
By the way, Chuck Bound, in the 4 races that have been held here at the Pennsylvania International Raceway, the only driver to now lead all 4. He's been racing here since that we started at this racetrack in 1988. And with those fresh tires, Derek, right now he needs to open up as much space on Kenny Wallace before their tires equalize, and they're both basically on the same set of rubber.
That's true. Like I say, he's been showing that he's been able to maintain a little bit of a lead when he gets to use tires, some laps on the used tires. So he's put some ground on him right now and going away.
Okay, here's the order of the cars on the racetrack. Your first 4 cars are on the lead lap. Chuck Bound, Kenny Wallace, David Green, and Steve Grissom. 5th place on the track, a lap down, is Mike Wallace.
Now, David Green was involved in that little melee coming out of turn 2, so we'll have to keep an eye on whether his car has anything left to try to make its way to the front. He's currently riding 3rd behind him, Steve Grissom, and it doesn't look like those cars have anything for Chuck Bound or Kenny Wallace. These 2 guys have been the cream of the crop all day long, and nothing has changed as we've got 57 laps to go.
Again, though, like I said, we're going to have to wait and see how the caution periods fall, because if those come out, there's only 4 cars on the lead lap. They all have the strategy there of all coming in, making an adjustment if they're not quite right, and be able to get right back up front again and go at it.
And the cautions really didn't fall right for a number of drivers just before the midway point, when there were cars that desperately needed a yellow to get into the pits, under yellow to stay on the lead lap. It just didn't happen, and Kenny Wallace and Chuck Bound checked out on most of the field, were able to put them a lap down, and then when the caution finally did come out on 124, there were only 4 cars still remaining on the lead circuit.
One thing I do notice, the 3rd car on your screen is David Green. He's pulled up tight to Kenny Wallace, so being involved in that spin, apparently he didn't make any contact. They changed outside tires, and he has gone back to trying to move up in the field. He'll be working on Kenny Wallace here in just a second. As Chuck Bound crosses the start-finish line, he just turned a lap of 29.41 seconds, and earlier in the race, after about 30 or 40 laps, he was running 30.2, so those new tires certainly making a difference.
That translates to 122.4 miles per hour. There's Tony Hirschman on the left of the screen at number 11, an unusual pit exit here. There is a long warm-up lane around this speedway from the pits, goes around to the back straight, coming off of turn number 3. That's where they blend back into traffic, and the entrance to the pits is really entering turn number 4.
One thing you notice about this racetrack, just like any Roger Penske facility, very well groomed, a lot of grass, looks very nice. Here we see a battle for position. Mike Wallace trying to hold off Jeff Gordon as they work underneath the bridge, heading for turn number 2. Gordon really turning on the heat, and there's the battle for second. David Green closing in on Kenny Wallace. That's really shaping up into a good battle between two good young drivers.
David Green showing experience well beyond his rookie status in this series. One of the tougher tracks this series competes on. He is now giving Kenny Wallace all he can handle as they move through turn 1 into the turn 2 area under the Goodyear Bridge.
That car's really hooking on the bottom of the racetrack going in turn 4 over there. And he's going to try and get a good run at him coming off turn 5 if he can.
And Steve Grissom really isn't that far behind in the 4th position. This could be a 3-car battle for second here within a couple of laps. We've got 53 circuits remaining in this 200-lap event this afternoon. And fairly incident-free event. After the modified show earlier, we weren't quite sure what to expect.
1.25 seconds. First place, Chuck Bound. Back to second place, Kenny Wallace. You see Bound, the red car in the screen. Now here's Wallace, that black and yellow Pontiac, trying to hold off David Green as they hustle onto the back straightaway, trying to keep Chuck Bound in sight as they try to settle the issue for second place.
And as they come off of turn 3, as you've seen, they drift out toward the wall as Green now thinks about going underneath. Can he make it stick? Start finish line, climbing up the hill, back downhill and even, and he thinks better of it.
Kenny Wallace's car must really be hooked up. Remember, he didn't pit for tires. David Green and Steve Grissom did, and he's still holding them at bay, which is good news for Chuck Bound, who's on new tires and skating away. But Kenny Wallace very, very strong, and now popping out of line. Here's David Green with a shot as they head down the backstretch.
He's underneath. He's right down on the rumble strip, and he makes it stick and takes over second place with a bold move. And here comes Steve Grissom alongside. He's in the preferred position. He's got third. Great move by David Green. Bold decision. It looked like there could be trouble. You're not supposed to be able to go into turn 4 too wide. He was able to do it there.
Well, Kenny Wallace was very observant there. He knew that David Green got a good run at him down the back straightaway and gave up the lane there, and was hoping he closed the door back on Grissom, but it didn't happen.
Of course, he's also hoping that they've got newer tires. They will come back to him. He's been running stronger than David Green and Steve Grissom most of the day, and so he's sort of hoping that when things sort of sort out here 10 or 15 laps, when new tires no longer make a difference or they fall back to what basically the pace they're going to be for the next 40 or 50 laps, he'll be able to creep up there and maybe make a move on them as well as Chuck Bound.
Margin between first and second is 1.7 seconds as Jeff Gordon dives underneath Mike Wallace. Gordon was involved in that spin in our last caution. Certainly none the worse for wear there as he came on to pit road to change tires.
Chuck Bound and his Hensley Racing team were the team that came here north to test tires for Goodyear. We mentioned before in the modified race, Jan Leedy came here and tested tires for Hoosier. He turned out to be the man to beat in that race, so apparently a little extra time with the tire that these respective tire companies brought to this racetrack today really paying off in the modified race and may pay off for Chuck Bound.
A lot of times when you're able to come and test, you get a good feel for the tire. You do find a compromise in the chassis for that particular tire, and evidently they found one here, I'll guarantee you that.
Ricky Craven, who normally runs number 25, and Jimmy Hensley, who runs number 25 on the Southern Tour, are together there on the Speedway. The Grand National North points leader, and Jimmy Hensley, the 3-time pole winner. Number 6 is Tommy Houston in the Rosa Stores Buick, followed by Tracy Leslie, a Rookie of the Year contender. Jeff Burton, after that previous incident, got his car repaired and is back on the Speedway. Jimmy Hensley, our pole sitter today, was leading until lap 24 when Chuck Bound took over, then had problems, fell a lap down. This is Davey Allison on pit road coming on very slowly. They will go under the hood on that Avalon Chevrolet.
The Winston Cup drivers have not fared very well today, all three having motor problems. First, Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, and now Davey Allison has had to park his car. Chuck Bound is still the leader, but David Green has slowly been catching him. It was a gap of about 1.7 seconds. It's 1.5. We've still got a long way to go, 46 laps.
The margin is now down to 1.3 seconds. When we come back, we could have a battle for the lead. Don't go away. This race is heating up with 45 laps to go from Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Mission, Create the ultimate automobile polish. Mission accomplished. Liquid Crystal, the most technologically advanced automobile polish ever made. A dull, faded blazer, the shine instantly restored with no rubbing, no buffing. And after 104 car washes, water still beads. Liquid Crystal will shine and protect better than any car wax you've ever used, or your money back. Liquid Crystal, quite simply, the best shine and protection money can buy.
Wendy's presents a class act starring a quarter-pound of fresh beef, 3 strips of sizzling bacon, a plentiful parade of sliced mushrooms, and a premiere performance of rich and creamy cheddar cheese. Now appearing for a limited time only, Wendy's new Bacon Mushroom Melt. Bravo!
I hate to steal a show, but it's time to eat.
The new Bacon Mushroom Melt, only at Wendy's. Try one today.
Cold filtering. It's our commitment to everyone who knows that draft beer is real beer. Pure beer. The best beer. It's how we make Miller Genuine Draft. And it's why so many people can enjoy a beer whose taste hasn't been changed by heat pasteurization. And why so many people are making a change of their own. Get out of the old and get into the cold.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch Crunches.
Brian Bosworth. They think he's stone crazy.
Just picked up the wrong passenger, buddy.
But he's really stone cold. Rated R. Starts Friday at select theaters.
Back here at Nazareth, Pennsylvania, David Green continues to whittle away at Chuck Bound's lead. The outside pole sitter has watched him close in over the last few laps. There is your leaderboard. Steve Grissom and Kenny Wallace are the only other cars in the lead lap, and Jeff Gordon is now 1 lap down in the 5th position, followed by Mike Wallace, Jimmy Hensley, Bobby Labonte, the Grand National points leader, Tommy Houston, and Ricky Graven. Davey Allison has gone behind the wall for the day, and he's with Ralph Shaheen.
Davey, what was it that finally put you out today?
Well, we thought we had a plug wire come off. The car started missing going down the back straightaway. We came in the pits to check it out. All the plug wires were on, and we cranked the engine back up, and it was idling real high. The way it missed, it's usually a sign that it either broke an intake valve or maybe a valve spring or something. So that put us out today, but Texaco Haviland racing team's been working good. We've been running good pretty much everywhere. We thought we were going to have a good finish out there today. Chuck Bound's running pretty strong, though. He's got the toughest car out there right now.
Chuck Bound may have the strongest car, but I'll tell you what, I'd give David Green a couple of strong votes for maybe overtaking the lead, because Derek, he has really closed in. But we'll check in on pit road with Bill Hennessy for an update on action up front.
The gentleman's name is Gil Martin, and he's the crew chief on the 8 car. David Green looks like David may pick up a victory here this afternoon.
Well, the TIC Oldsmobile is running pretty good right now, but Chuck's awful strong. But we've got a lot of people to thank this week because we've had a hard time adjusting to the track. But everything's going pretty good right now, so we're going to see if we can coach him home.
You've been running that watch pretty steady. Has it been telling you anything that you wanted to know?
Well, right now, we're just trying to keep him up to date with how he's running opposed to how Chuck's running. They're running about the same speed. I think Chuck's pulling a little more gear than we are right now. So it's hurting us a little bit up off the corner, but I'm hoping we have fresher tires.
If you see a pass on this racetrack by David Green, where will it take place? You got a speculation on that?
I'd say if it happens, it'll happen off turn 4.
That's the word from his crew chief, Gil Martin.
We had been watching David Green closing in on Chuck Bound there for about the last 5 laps or so, but just in the last few moments, it looks like the margin between first and second is beginning to expand. Derek, let's talk about a subject here that's interesting that was brought up on pit road by David Green's crew chief about drivers helping each other. You try to beat each other's brains out there on the racetrack, but outside, you're really trying to help a lot before the race starts.
Well, that's true. I mean, you have to talk amongst yourselves and get a feel and try and help each other out, because, like you say, when you do help somebody else, it may help you in the long run.
Of course, you hope you don't help them too much.
The margin has been pretty consistent between first and second now over the last couple of laps. It's a half a second. Chuck Bound looking for his first victory in 8 months. And Mark, you have statistics on his whip records. first super speedway victory if he could pull it off today.
That's exactly right. He has 7 Busch Grand National Series victories, 2 in Oxford, Maine, and then he, of course, had 5 other short track victories last year on that amazing streak where he won 6 races and won the championship. But that team has suffered through a dry spell that goes back to Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina last August. They've run strong at times, but little things have come up and bit them at the end of the race, and that's something you're thinking about. When you're in a slump, you're always waiting for something to happen. You don't feel like the good things are going to happen. And then, of course, on the flip side, Derek, when things are going well, you can't do anything wrong, you don't feel like.
Well, like I say, when things go good, you charge all the time. You have a positive attitude. When things go bad, sometimes you have a tendency to be a little conservative. And that also sometimes puts you in a bad position, too. So you just got to stay positive, drive hard all day long, and hope that good things happen.
And in fairness to the Hensley Racing team, as we look at the battle back here in the Speedway, this is not for position. Kenny Wallace is still on the lead lap. That is Mike Wallace, who is a lap down, trying to close in on his younger brother. Trying to say, hey, listen, we may not win today's race, but you and I can have a little bit of fun out there. In all fairness to the Hensley Racing team, they had built up such a big lead in the series standings in August that it was hard to keep the momentum going. There was conversation there for a while that he might win the title by the biggest margin ever. Of course, that didn't come to pass, but it doesn't look like they were able to carry momentum through the end of last season into the beginning of this year.
It's just like a lot of teams in any sport that build up such a big lead. They talk about, still, charging, still being aggressive, still doing the same things that got them such a big lead. But when you get that kind of lead, it's natural to just kind of hold back the reins just a bit and kind of put it in cruise control.
And here are some of the cars that you see still circulating around the Speedway, have been able to pretty much stay out of trouble. 31 is Steve Grissom. He's presently listed in the 3rd position. Right behind him is Todd Bodine, who has had a long day. The car on the bottom of the racetrack with 30 laps to go is Tony Hirschman. Looks like there might have been a little bump there coming through turn 2 as Bodine slides up the racetrack. There is a good battle within the family. Kenny Wallace and Mike Wallace. Wallace, in just a few starts in the Grand National Series, has turned some heads already. This is his 3rd race today. A 3rd the very first time out. As Chuck Bound took it all the way down to the rumble strips. He's starting to use all the racetrack.
1.81 seconds. For a while, with fresh tires, David Green had thoughts that maybe I've got something for Chuck Bound. It appears he does not. We're 29 laps away from the finish of this race. Chuck Bound the leader. David Green 2nd. Steve Grissom is 3rd. We'll be right back.
When Acura asked if we would design a new tire for the extraordinary NSX, we responded very quickly. Yokohama, where Acura turned for ultra-high performance.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision. A convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
And there's the checkered flag. When the race is over, the scene begins. The Winston Cup scene. It's the largest and most informative NASCAR Winston Cup newspaper in the country. The pages of the Winston Cup scene are loaded with up-to-date information, insightful editorials and commentary, expanded coverage of each race, entertaining feature articles, the latest news, terrific photography, complete statistics, and even the gossip.
45 great issues, only $35. Call 1-800-800-2025 or send check or money order to Winston Cup Scene today.
Hey, Bill, checking out the scene? How'd I do?
Well, let's see. Petty. Richard Petty?
Why don't you take over? I'm into the scene. Why don't you get into the scene, too?
For the best in motorsports reading, it's Winston Cup Scene. Call 1-800-800-2025. MasterCard, Visa accepted.
We're heading down the home stretch of the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Here's your scoring summary with just 25 laps remaining. Of course, Chuck Bound is beginning to pull away from David Green a bit with Steve Grissom and Kenny Wallace, your lead lap cars. Jeff Gordon is back up to the 5th position. Sixth, it's Mike Wallace, followed by Bobby Labonte, Tommy Houston, Jimmy Hensley, our pole sitter today, and Robert Presley, who had started this event in fourth.
One thing that always amazes me about Bobby Labonte and that Penrose Oldsmobile team is that even on a bad day, this guy hangs in there all day and plucks top tens out of the races, and he could very well perhaps hold on to the point lead. If this race ended the way it is right now, he would hold on by the scantest of margins over Kenny Wallace, and you have to do that. When it's not your day, just pull out what you can and go home.
And he's closing in on Joe Nemechek, who had a great second-place run at South Boston last week. Nemechek will have Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet sponsorship on his car for Charlotte coming up. The 2 events down in the series, and easily puts a lap on him, as now drivers who are not in contention are starting to watch their mirror and paying attention to the move over flag. Flagman Mike Harwood has been using that flag liberally today, but he hasn't had to wave the caution nearly as much as last week at South Boston. The drivers have really performed very well here today and have respected each other.
They certainly have, and in the driver's meeting, Grand National Series Director Robert Black laid down the law. Gentlemen, for rough driving today, don't drive it to pit road and stop. Go to the pits, leave your ramps down, because just drive it in the truck. He laid the law down, and everybody has paid heed to his message.
Bond has worked his way around the 08 machine of Bobby Dowder, the Chicago, Illinois driver, who also had an outstanding run at South Boston last week. But the fortunes of racing, top 5 last week and also ran this week.
Right now for David Green, a lot of things working against him. Chuck Bound running well, but he's starting to put some lap cars between them, and so David Green, if he's got something left for Chuck Bound, may have to use it up just moving around that traffic to try to keep him in sight.
It's going to be difficult for him. He was able to really manipulate the race car a little bit ago and drive a little more aggressively. Right now, he's having to back up and just keep the car underneath him. And again, he's got all that lap traffic in front of him, and Chuck Bound seems to be negotiating that very, very well.
Just 20 laps to go as Ward Burton and the 34 car of Todd Bodine came together there for just a moment. No harm done there. Chuck Bound has now put a lap on Dave Resendiz, who finished second here last year, but has had a long day today.
Very surprised by that, because Dave Resendiz really gets around this racetrack strong. He's got to be bitterly disappointed about what's happened this afternoon, because this is a very good young driver, and he really liked this racetrack. Took to it like a duck to water when he came here a couple of years ago. Nearly won his very first Grand National Series victory right here, and he lost it in just a great battle last year with Jimmy Hensley. I mean, if you're going to get beat, getting beat by Jimmy Hensley is nothing to hang your head about.
And that is the 52 car of Butch Miller, the winner at Hickory back at the end of March, who has just put another circuit down by Bound. Miller came onto pit road early in this race for left side rubber and has never been a factor in this afternoon's contest. Now Bound is working around Ricky Craven, the Grand National North points leader, who won the most recent race for that series at Oxford, Maine.
David Green had made up some ground on Chuck Bound as Bound tiptoed through those lap cars, but now he's got clear traffic. David Green does not. We'll be back in just a moment with 18 laps to go in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Chuck Bound continues to lead, and David Green continues to chase.
Sunday, Mexico's tough Baja Desert, a punishing 250-mile course for off-road racing's prestigious Tecate Score San Felipe 250. Hard-running, kick dirt competition all the way. Score Off-Road Racing, Sports Sunday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern on TNN.
It's Tommy Lasorda with a way to help you lose weight that's going to shake things up. Ultra Slim Fast Fruit Juice Mix. Juice it up, lose weight, feel great. Mix it with your favorite fruit juice. Juice it up, lose weight, feel great. It's a delicious, nutritious part of the Ultra Slim Fast plan. Juice it up, lose weight, feel great. New Ultra Slim Fast Fruit Juice Mix. Give us a week, we'll take off the weight.
My hometown, to me, that's good people. That's, when I first came to Nashville, I got off the bus at like 2:30 in the morning. I said, this might be where you're going, but remember where you came from. We pick and sing, write songs, and do what gypsies do while they're going up and down the highway, and try to make a few friends along the way. It's a way to sit in your living room and visit with your old friends. TNN is wonderful for that.
Back here at Nazareth, Pennsylvania, a driver who had a lot of trouble at South Boston last week is having a sensational run today. That is the number 8 car with David Green behind the wheel. He was the driver who picked up the rookie victory at Lanier Raceway down in Gainesville, Georgia. And we turn back to the last rookie victory in the series, and it was in the same car.
That's right, Bobby Hamilton at Richmond back, I believe, at the end of 1989 when he came onto the circuit. The very first Grand National race ever held on the new Richmond International Raceway. David Green is going to be a huge star on the circuit, and I think he may be destined one day to drive Winston Cup. A very intelligent, likable driver. He's got the whole package, and no rookie driver's ever come on this circuit in the last few years and has done what David Green has done, and he's going to win another race or two before this year's out, no doubt about it.
And he was one of those Grand National drivers that went out to Bondurant's driving school to learn how to race in a road course, and there are certainly some road course characteristics of this track. Certainly a good student.
He certainly was. But at the end of Bob Bondurant's school, they have a body man come in from downtown Phoenix and give you a bill for damage, and David hit a couple of bushes, a little bit of guardrail. He got the biggest bill of anybody.
Well, Kenny Wallace got in his way just a couple of times, too. They were laughing about that afterward. In fact, all the drivers had a great time there. It was the opportunity for them to learn something new. The instructors were impressed with all the drivers who went through the school. Chuck Bound has not been through it. He does not need to go through it. He is certainly pacing the way here this afternoon.
I know about that, I'll guarantee you. On the West Coast, when I was growing up, I watched Chuck Bound run a lot of their races out there on the road courses. An excellent road racer. He'll be awful tough at Watkins Glen.
And he has just passed the start-finish line with 11 laps remaining as he puts a lap on Tom Peck, the McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania driver who has a number of folks in from the area. He lives about 3 hours west of here. He was hoping to have a great run today for all those folks who have come over for this event.
He came into this race 7th in the point standings. He'll perhaps stay in the top 10 after this race. He's been in the top 10 in the point standings for the past 2 years. I mean, about midway through 1989, he moved into the top 10. He finished 5th last year in 1990 and all season long in 1991. A very steady, consistent team. Not spectacular. They go out there every week and get the job done. And this is another driver who hasn't won yet on the circuit, but still very capable. As Chuck Bound, you see, pulling away from him, it's not his day.
And it's 10 laps to go. 10 laps remaining in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. As the cars go downhill down that backstretch there is an elevation difference of 34 feet at the Speedway. That's the number 8 car of David Green. 78 is Larry Brolsma.
They talk about the uphill downhill at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Derek, how does that compare to the downhill here at Nazareth?
Well, it doesn't seem like it's as much here as Wilkesboro. I know that it seems awful steep going up and down there, but the same tendencies apply because you have that sort of feeling of the car rolling over on the right rear corner going in turn 1 at Wilkesboro, much as you have the same thing going in here at turn 4.
Chuck Bound will come back to the start-finish line this time. There will be 8 more laps remaining and a very clean Pontiac Pacesetters 200. We have only had 3 cautions in the entire event, and one of those was for oil down on the racetrack by 3-time Grand National North winner Jamie Obey.
Much different race than we saw in the Winston Modified 150 where we had a rash of yellow fever. Chuck Bound 2.75 seconds ahead of David Green. About the only thing Chuck Bound is looking for right now. No bad luck, no problems with his race car, and of course, certainly, please do not throw the yellow flag.
David Green, first full season in the series, an All-American Challenge Series driver. A lot of people thought that was an interesting decision by car owner Martocci to put him in that car, but he knows how to bring along young drivers.
He certainly does, and David Green is a quality race driver. We didn't know much about him out here, so to speak, in the southeast part, but over around Nashville, everybody knows what kind of race driver David Green is. Everybody knew there how good Bobby Hamilton was, and he jumped into the Grand National Series, became a winner, and same thing for David Green. So a lot of very competitive racing out there around Nashville. And, you know, what I might bring up right now, Mike Alexander, you know, who had that injury and dropped out of Winston Cup racing for a while. He's back racing and looking real strong, according to Bobby Hamilton, running very well over in Nashville. And I look forward to seeing Mike one of these days. Yeah, come on, Mike, come on back to racing.
I'm going to run a race out there later this year. I hope you get a chance to see Mike out there.
To give you an idea of some of the cars that are still on the track, and I think that pretty well says it all for a team that wants to go to victory lane for the first time in 8 months. Fingers, toes, anything else they can get crossed, they're doing now as we just have 5 laps remaining in the event. Chuck Bound just moments ago put another lap on Donnie Lane to give you an idea of some of the other drivers who are still out in the Speedway. He will now be closing in on the Elton Sawyer machines.
Seems the key to this win, if he does win for Chuck Bound, was that change of tires. They said, no, we like our tires, we can go the whole way, but Jeff Hensley said, look, I made a mistake. I got to get in here and change him. We've got 4 laps to go in this race. That was a brave decision. A lot of times you don't want to admit that you're wrong, but if you do, it could pay off.
That's true, but I tell you what, you have to give a nod to Chuck Bound for knowing what he wanted in a race car here today, and he's proven that he knows what he needs, and they're close to victory lane.
As the laps wind down, Chuck Bound has made this race his own personal domain despite the best efforts of rookie David Green.
We mentioned this race wasn't similar with the modified race as far as the number of yellow flags, but what is similar about this race? Jan Leedy had the best car all day. He ran smart. Sometime at one point he had to work his way back to the front after leading a lot of laps. And with Chuck Bound, very similar. Led a lot of laps, fell back, patiently worked his way back into the lead. And if he does win this race, again, the best car, the best driver on this day would have found his way to victory lane.
Exactly right. And I think patience has been a key here too. When they got back up front, trying to manipulate themselves through traffic again.
And you can bet that his spotters, and some teams are using 2 spotters at this track today because there is limited sight lines. They're using spotters up over in turns 2 and 3, which is where the race leader is right now, and coming off of 5 because it's a little blind coming up off of 5 toward the start-finish line. You can bet that the spotters are keeping Bound abreast of any potential problems with lap traffic that he is closing in on. The next time by, it will be the white flag lap for Portland, Oregon native Chuck Bound.
You talked about him using a lot of racetrack as he takes the white flag. I guarantee you, he'll be in the middle of this racetrack all the way around on the very last lap of this Pontiac Pacesetters 200.
And the car in front of him is Troy Beebe, a fellow California transplant from Modesto, California, West Coast driver who's hoping to make it big in the series. He moves out of the way. It is a clear track in front of Chuck Bound, the defending Busch Grand National Champion. Has gone 11 races without victory in 1991. He will break that streak today and win the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Second will go to David Green. Third to Steve Grissom. Kenny Wallace is fourth. And there is certainly a lot of relief in that crew on pit road.
Jeff Gordon took in the 5th spot, beating Mike Wallace for that position late in the event. Well, Chuck Bound has won it here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, his first victory of 1991. We'll be back in just a moment. We'll travel to victory lane and talk to today's winner in the Pontiac Pacesetters 200. Chuck Bound again has won it. David Green was second, Steve Grissom third, and Kenny Wallace came home fourth. We'll be right back.
This engine's being slowly destroyed because at startup, oil's in the pan, not in the engine, causing 70 to 80% of mechanical engine wear. Use Slick 50 and you treat the engine, not the oil. It creates a slippery coating that can protect and reduce wear for over 50,000 miles and help improve performance, increase gas mileage, and reduce operating costs. Slick 50 engine treatment, because starting your engine is a terrible thing to do.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240 card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
The time has finally come for the cordless power roller from Wagner. Now you control the flow of paint. So the Wagner power roller can cut jobs in half. Smoothly and evenly, it can cover areas twice as fast. And clean up is a snap. So you can finish one job and do another. Get your hands on a real value, because the value of Wagner keeps on rolling.
Hey, I like to save money as much as the next guy. But what are the odds that there's going to be a sale on the parts you need when your car breaks down? Hey, it's not going to happen. That's why I go to AutoZone. I mean, sure, you could wait around for a couple weeks and maybe beat their price by a few pennies someplace else. But I don't want to wait for a sale when I need a part. Now, what more could you ask for?
NASCAR racing fans have seen a great day of action culminated with Chuck Bound picking up his first victory of 1991. Let's go down to this Winner's Circle interview brought to you by Eagle One, and Bill Hennessy is there.
Congratulations, champ, from everybody at TNN. You picked one off here today, and you look great.
Thank you very much. I just really got to owe this one to the crew. They had a tough week. We tore this car up quite a bit last week at South Boston. They fixed it. They brought it here. And I couldn't ask for a better machine. The Nescafe Classic Pontiac just ran strong from lap one. It was a tremendous car all day and really made my job a whole lot easier, and I credit them. It was a terrific day for us. We've had a dry spell. We needed to win real bad, and I want to thank Nescafe and Abu Garcia, Video USA, Pontiac, and I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to Mom and Happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law, too.
Chuck, one little miscue. Your scheduled pit stop, you came down the pit lane. Dave Resendez was right in front of you, had to pull around. You were angled into your pits. You got fuel only, which was scheduled, but you almost missed the tires had you not had the yellow later.
Yeah, that's true. I think it would have been a mistake, but, you know, that's hindsight. You never really know. It was Jeff Hensley's call, my crew chief, and the car was going so fast and running so good on the used tires. The stagger was matched up real well. He just really didn't want to mess with it. Goodyear's done a tremendous job with the tires this year, but we could see that on the restart after that caution that the other guys that come in and put on tires were stronger, so we decided to go ahead and put rubber on ourselves the next opportunity we had. It won us the race.
Congratulations to Chuck Bowell, the winner here, the Pontiac Pacesetters 200 at Nazareth.
The race may be over, but we've got a lot more to talk about here before we wrap it up in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
If you bought them